Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Where a parking lot now sits, there will one day be affordable housing. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Transit-oriented development is coming to Rancho Bernardo with 100 units priced for lower-income families. KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer was at today's groundbreaking.
Shovels in the dirt marked the start of something new. Leaders from across the city and county of San Diego came together for a groundbreaking event for a transit-oriented affordable housing development called Skyline. The Metropolitan Transit System and Affirmed Housing are the two organizations overseeing the project.
50% of those units will be 2- and 3-bedroom apartments, and the other 50% will be, I think we have some studios, but mostly 1-bedroom.
Jimmy Silverwood is president of Affirmed Housing, whose company is developing the 100-unit complex. It's going up right at the Rancho Bernardo Transit Station and part of a larger effort by MTS to redevelop its park and ride locations throughout the county, says the organization's CEO Sharon Cooney.
We have property at our transit centers, like here at Rancho Bernardo, where we have said, let's rethink how we're going to use that property. We'll build some parking, but ultimately we want to build housing. And
the 7-story development will replace a portion of an existing MTS parking lot and will be reserved for families and individuals earning 30 to 60% of the area median income. Where this project is being built also matters, says San Diego Housing Commission Vice Chair Ryan Klumpner.
The affordable housing is financed mostly with tax credit bonds that are a statewide funding source. This project in particular is in an area of town that has very little affordable housing at it.
The Skyline project will also offer non-residential office space and dozens of parking spots. The developer expects to finish construction in spring 2026. Affirmed Housing estimates that rents will range from about $700 to $1,750 a month, depending on the size of each apartment. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
It's an issue that goes hand in hand with wet weather. Potholes have multiplied, keeping city crews busy with a backlog of more than 500 pothole projects to get to. The Assistant Deputy Director of the Transportation Department told our media partner KGTV that since the January 22nd floods, they've seen 4 times the amount of potholes reported on a daily basis. So extra teams have been deployed.
I try to reassure them that we're listening, that if you have a pothole in your neighborhood, put it in, get it done. We respond to every single get it done report for potholes. The people in the city are aware of the issue. We're working hard to address the issue.
And despite the backlog, progress has been seen since this time last year when there were more than 2,000 potholes to be filled. Repairs to roads and the city's storm drainage system may prove difficult to afford. A new report from city staff projects the budget deficit for the next fiscal year has ballooned from $115 million to $166 million. That's a 44% increase. Infrastructure system repairs are expected to cost a little more than $9 billion over the next 5 years. The city estimates it will only have about $4 billion to cover the costs in that same time period.
The political leaders are going to have to change their plans. They're going to have to maybe cut back then on spending. That might involve delaying projects. That might involve reducing some services. Unfortunately, that has some negative impact.
The city credits lower than expected sales and hotel tax revenue for the deficit. City leaders are also proposing adding new taxes to help cover the costs. Mayor Gloria will officially propose his budget in April.
I'm Ariella Scalise, and coming up tonight, we're going to turn partly cloudy tonight with temperatures into the 50s, and this dry, kind of quiet weather lingers at least for the next couple of days before we track the next storm system and its impacts. That's all coming up.
Kansas City police are revealing more on what may have sparked a mass shooting at a Super Bowl victory celebration. More than 20 people were injured and at least one person died. Michael Yoshida reports.
This appeared to be a dispute between several people that ended in gunfire.
Kansas City police giving an update on Wednesday's mass shooting during a Super Bowl victory rally for the Chiefs. Many of nearly 24 gunshot victims are children.
At least half of our victims are under the age of 16.
Killed in the gunfire was a popular local DJ, 43-year-old Lisa Lopez Galvin.
Lisa leaves behind an incredible legacy.
As friends remember her, some recall their own terrifying moments running from the gunfire.
And all of a sudden, through the partitions, a wave of people come rushing through, screaming, "Gun, run, police are coming."
In the chaos that followed, at least one armed suspect was tackled by those in the crowd.
When I hit him from behind, I either jarred the gun out of his hand or out of his sleeve, because as I'm taking him down to the ground, I see the gun on the ground.
I want to thank the people who acted bravely yesterday alongside law enforcement.
Police confirmed they're looking at a number of suspects, and multiple weapons were recovered at the scene. Several Kansas City players expressed their outrage on social media and concern for the victims. One attendee recalls seeing head coach Andy Reid minutes after the ordeal.
I will never forget finally coming out of the bathroom after hiding, and around the corner comes Andy Reid with his grandchildren and his wife. And he said, as he walked by, "Are you guys okay?" That moment of humility is incredible.
Michael Yoshida, KPBS News.
The Navy is commissioning a new expeditionary sea base Saturday in Coronado. KPBS military reporter Andrew Dyer got a tour of the ship.
The future USS John L. Canley is just the 6th expeditionary sea base in the Navy. Ship Captain Thomas Mays says these ships are more versatile than other amphibious ships, picking up different sorts of missions.
Such as that aviation minesweeping, mine hunting, special forces operations.
Expeditionary sea bases, or ESBs, are large, flat-decked ships adapted from an oil tanker design. Their flight decks can operate with helicopters and V-22 Ospreys. Special operations might be where the ESB shines. Last month's raid on a ship smuggling Iranian weapons to Yemen was launched from an ESB. 2 San Diego-based SEALs were killed in the operation. Mays didn't comment specifically on just how big a role special operations will play in the ship's overall mission once it deploys.
Special operations have been involved in the design and outfitting of the ship, and we are configurable and are dedicated to their needs.
Command Senior Chief Julius Green says sailors assigned to the ship are going to find civilian mariners doing some of the work they're used to doing.
It's pretty different, especially when you have an MSC crew on board, so a lot of the duties and operations that we would usually do is kind of split between us and them.
The civilian mariners from Military Sea Lift Command handle duties such as navigation and engineering. MSC sailors also man Navy fuel and resupply ships. After commissioning Saturday, the USNS John L. Canley will become the USS John L. Canley. It's expected to deploy to the Western Pacific as soon as this summer. Andrew Dyer, KPBS News.
I'm Amna Nawaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, how the Super Bowl parade turned deadly despite a substantial police presence. That's coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
There's a battle for Senate control brewing in the 2024 election. Democrats are dealing with an uncertain path to keeping power in the chamber with tough incumbent races and new viable Republican candidates in the mix. Julia Benbrook has details on the challenges both parties are facing.
A potential Republican shakeup in the deep blue state of Maryland. On the day of the primary filing deadline, former Governor Larry Hogan entered the race to replace retiring Maryland Democratic Senator Ben Cardin.
I decided to run to kind of stand up and fight for the people of Maryland and fight against the broken politics in Washington.
Hogan was a popular Republican governor known for his moderate record. Although Maryland is a deep blue state, Hogan's campaign gives Republicans a strong candidate as the GOP attempts to flip the seat. A surprise in any race would impact the entire battle for control of the Senate, with Democrats holding a 1-seat advantage and incumbents already on defense in several Republican-leaning states, like Montana and Ohio.
personally, this is not a burning desire to go be a senator or to go down there and argue with people all day. I'm only doing it because I think I have a unique voice and perspective.
Democratic Senator Joe Manchin's decision not to run for re-election in West Virginia underscores the open 2024 playing field. His state has long been ranked as the seat most likely to flip.
I have come to the conclusion we're not going to fix the political posturing in Washington, here in Congress, from Washington. It'll be fixed from outside of Washington.
The GOP would only need to pick up 1 or 2 seats, depending on who wins the White House, in order to flip control of the Senate. The 3 final seats Democrats hold in states where Donald Trump won in 2020 are among those up for grabs this fall. Reporting in Washington, I'm Julia Benbrook.
And voters in East San Diego County will choose a new assembly member for District 75. The incumbent Republican and Marie Waldron is set to term out. KPBS's Scott Rodd reports it's a crowded primary race.
Assembly District 75 has a huge geographic footprint. It encompasses most of East County, including a 50-mile stretch of the southern border west of Jacumba Hot Springs. 6 candidates are in the primary race, and 2 have emerged as frontrunners to represent this Republican-leaning district.
Well, I just want to restore common sense to Sacramento.
Andrew Hayes has endorsements from the state and county Republican parties. He's currently the district director for State Senate Minority Leader Brian Jones. Hayes says the border is one of his main priorities.
Top of mind is securing the border and looking at how we can stop folks from coming across and bringing crime into our local communities.
Hayes says he also wants to stop fentanyl distribution and curb the placement of sexually violent predators in his district after they're released from prison. The other frontrunner will be a familiar name to many San Diego voters, Republican Carl DeMaio. He served on San Diego's City Council from 2008 to 2012 and currently hosts a local radio show. DeMaio is also taking a hard stance on the border and asylum seekers.
We do not have an obligation to take care of the welfare and benefit of everyone who just wants to show up in America and say, hey, taxpayers pay for me.
He says he's in favor of legal immigration with a strict vetting process.
We want people to come who can play by the rules and follow the process.
Other top issues for DeMaio include opposing new taxes and implementing a voter ID law. A third Republican, Jack Fernandez, is also running in the primary, along with Democrats Kevin Jusa, Joy Frew, and Christy Doherty. Scott Rodd, KPBS News.
And for more about the upcoming primary election, you can check out the KPBS Voter Hub. That's where you'll find explainers on local races and Q&As from candidates to help you make an informed decision. Just go to kpbs.org/voterhub. Even though in some parts of the country it hardly feels like spring, we're already entering peak home buying and selling season. Ivan Rodriguez breaks down what you need to know if you're planning to be in the market this year.
The home buying season is already upon us, and experts say if you're in the market, don't wait around too long for better prices or rates.
It's always a difficult call in terms of timing. As a consumer, just be on the lookout. If a right home within the right budget shows up, maybe go for it.
Mortgage rates are down from their highs last fall, hovering around 6.6% since December, resulting in less uncertainty and improving affordability for home buyers. In fact, homeowner optimism is at its highest level since March of 2022, according to a survey by Fannie Mae.
This year, more inventory will be showing on the market. That's definitely good for consumers seeing more choices.
If you're planning to buy this spring, experts suggest building a home buying team consisting of an agent, lender, and even a title company, because each part is crucial in what can be a complicated multi-month process.
The home buying process is not a simple decision.
Agents also advise people to search for homes knowing what their conservative monthly payment is, making it easier to move other variables like price, location, or condition of a house in order to have the best chances to buy the home. The key, experts say, is be flexible and have your financial house ready to go.
You want to show that you have the financial capacity, and getting that mortgage approved letter certainly demonstrates the financial capacity to make the move.
I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
The obesity epidemic has taught us a lot about human metabolism, such as the increased difficulty to lose weight among overweight people. KPBS iTech reporter Thomas Fudge says San Diego scientists have discovered one reason for this, and that holds the promise of future treatment.
Researchers at Alan Seitel's lab at UC San Diego were looking at the way cells store and burn energy. They hypothesized that shutting down a molecule called RAL-A in lab mice would cause their cells to burn less energy. Therefore, more fat would be stored and more weight would be gained.
So when we made the mice and looked at them, we saw something that was kind of shocking. We saw the opposite effect.
They found those mice became much more efficient at burning fat and controlling weight.
And then we put these mice on high-fat diet for a long time, and we noticed that they didn't gain weight like normal mice do on high-fat diet.
Seitl says it was one of those hypothetical mistakes that led to a valuable discovery, that RAL-A in its natural state was helping the body store fat. In a sense, it was causing obesity. It's been shown that the more overweight a person gets, the more difficult it is to lose weight, a classic case of adding insult to injury. The difficulty losing weight is also due in part to another discovery of Seitl's lab. With obesity, a cell's mitochondria literally break into smaller pieces, making them less able to burn energy. Seitl says he believes our body's focus on protecting fat stores is a throwback to ancestral days when food could be very hard to come by.
We are very efficient at storing energy because we think a famine is right around the corner.
Getting back to the present time, Seitl's lab has identified a target, RAL-A, and they've created a RAL inhibitor to deactivate it, causing mice on high-fat diets to not gain weight. It doesn't take a lot of imagination to wonder if shutting down a human's RAL-A functions could do the same thing and help cure their obesity. Seitl says it's not a crazy idea, but mice aren't people, and it's hard to know if giving this stuff to people is a good idea.
No clear idea that it's safe.
Okay.
But we don't have an idea that it isn't safe. So it's one of those things we would have to investigate.
Clinical trials on live humans are not on the horizon, but Seitl says they're starting to experiment on human tissues. Thomas Fudge, KPBS News.
The CDC reports African Americans have higher rates of disease, health complications, and deaths than their white counterparts. A student organization in Pennsylvania says part of the problem is lack of representation in the medical profession. Stephanie Saul introduces us to black men in white coats.
Dressing for success, these second-year medical students at Jefferson Sidney Kimmel Medical College are members of black men in white coats.
With the intention of trying to increase the number of black men going into the field of medicine, it's a very challenging journey, and it's a journey that definitely does require a lot of assistance.
Kevin Carolina is a founding member of the group, inspired by his own experience.
I see the impact that the lack of diversity has on health outcomes within people that look like me.
The CDC says black people have higher rates of disease, health complications, and death. Part of that is blamed on a historic lack of trust of white doctors and not being able to find medical professionals of the same race.
Although our numbers are rare within medicine, we're working to improve that and just kind of up those numbers as well.
Nathan DeLocht is also a member of black men in white coats.
When I was younger, I never really had any role models who looked like me.
Here training in a simulation lab.
Just checking his airway, make sure everything's clear.
These future black doctors are supporting each other and hope to inspire more to be like them.
We're hoping to kind of enact change like within the school itself, bringing more black students to the school as well, but then also creating some change within the community.
They go to underserved communities with things like screening checks. The group is also working to improve access to better health care for black neighbors.
Ultimately, we want to uplift black voices.
Stephanie Saul with that report. The Association of American Medical Colleges says diversity in medicine is improving, but reports that even so, only 5% of doctors are black.
All right, our first weather headline is great as the dry and calm weather continues through the weekend. So any outdoor plans this weekend are good to go, but we are keeping close eyes on the incoming Pacific storm, which is going to bring us a cooler and wetter pattern as we head into at least the first half of next week. Let's take a look at tonight as temperatures will be cool under a mostly clear sky. San Diego down to 52, Chula Vista down to 50, Oceanside a cooler evening for you at 46. Tonight in Borrego Springs you're down to 45 and Mount Laguna dropping to 35. Nice day on tap though as we head into Friday as things are staying dry and things are staying pleasant. Looking at temperatures here, 60s and 70s for most of us to wrap up the week. Oceanside 65, San Diego a degree cooler there. Borrego Springs, you'll see the lower 70s throughout our Friday, and Mount Laguna staying into the upper 40s. As we head into the day Saturday, it's going to be more into North and Central California that start to see the wet weather return. I think we still have a dry weekend on tap, which is good to go. But look as we head into Sunday night as this next storm system approaches. So I do think the first half of our week is going to feature the cool and wet weather moving on through. We're talking about heavy rain, renewed flooding possible, and heavy snow, especially into the Sierra, as we look ahead into the next pattern impacting California here over the next couple of days. It shows that nicely here in our coastal outlook here with a dry weekend on tap, but a little rain moves in on Monday and some rainy conditions at times as we head into the day Tuesday. Temperatures only into the low 60s. Looking further inland, you're dry the next several days. The weekend looks good. Low clouds take over as we head into the day on Monday, and then we're going to be watching periods of rain as we head into the day Tuesday. Looking at how this impacts you in the mountains is we're going to stay chilly here through the next couple of days. Breezy conditions to start your Monday, and then rain and drizzle returns as we head into the day on Tuesday. Even into the deserts as we head into the start of next week, we could have some cool areas with some low clouds as we head into Tuesday. For KPBS News, I'm Ariella Scalise.
SDG&E continues its beautification of San Diego. A new mural was unveiled today at the SDG&E substation near Rolando and the college area. The piece, created by local artist Katie Ya, depicts a path weaving through local wildlife, native plants, and the hilly neighborhood around San Diego State University. The mural was made in collaboration with Art Reach. Museum Month is an annual dose of discounted culture in San Diego County, but KPBS reporter John Carroll says this year it's going beyond the county lines.
When you think of museums in San Diego, Balboa Park probably comes to mind. It's home to 18 of them. But new this year, for the first time in Museum Month's 35-year history, it's no longer confined to the United States. This year, it's gone south of the border, down Mexico way, to TJ.
Hi, my name is Daniela De Leon. I am the Binational Liaison for the Arts and Culture of the City of Tijuana.
And that makes De Leon an expert on the Museo de Historia de Tijuana, the Tijuana History Museum. The multi-story museum opened in 2010. It tells the story of our neighbor to the south in many ways, from the history of sports to the development of the city to its music. This new display shows the different kinds of music that have found a home here, that have flourished in Tijuana. Included are not only the pictures of musicians, but also their hands, cast in plaster, the modus operandi of music making.
We have videos. We also have the archive of the history of Tijuana, which the citizens can also come and investigate anything that they would like to have to know about the city from the beginnings, and also our binational history from San Diego and Tijuana.
The History Museum is one of 8 museums in Tijuana that are participating in Museum Month.
You have Secut. They have like different sites in the development. It's also El Cubo. That's one of the spaces. It's like contemporary art. And then you have the aquarium. You also have the Museum of Las Californias. You have theater there also.
Tijuana native Berenice Martinez is steeped in the arts and culture scene south of the border. She says the addition of her city's museums dovetails nicely with the fact that the San Diego-Tijuana region is the World Design Capital for 2024.
I heard about World Design Capital and saw it as a perfect opportunity to start incorporating those museums with our museums to make San Diego a cultural destination.
We met San Diego Museum Council Executive Director Bob Lehman outside of a San Diego museum you might not have heard of, and it's definitely worth a visit. The San Diego Chinese Historical Museum is on 3rd Avenue in the Gaslamp. The building itself is part of the story of Chinese people in San Diego.
There was a lot of evangelization population of the Chinese immigrants in the early 1900s. And so this building was built to house them in the back.
Museum Executive Director Jacinta Wong showed us around the place, pointing out the stunning pieces of art.
We've got donations of cloisonne and paper cuttings and textiles, such as this beautiful dragon robe that we have here. I mean, it looked really bad. This is so, like I said, when they were forced to live here, it was.
But there's another kind of history here that is anything but beautiful.
The Chinese are the only nationality, only people who were specifically listed on an act, a government act, the Chinese Exclusion Act. It's the only one that was targeted against one specific population.
A population that was largely excluded from society and its commerce. Wong says that's how Chinese laundries came about, because it was a niche that wasn't being filled. With it came the trappings of racism. But that sad part of history is only that, a part. There is so much beauty to enjoy here, including this peaceful garden. Whether it's the Chinese Historical Museum or one of the more than 60 others, you need a Museum Month pass to get half-off admission.
Go to any of our 85 libraries all over the city and the county of San Diego and pick up a pass. They look just like this. I have a list of all the museums. Then also the other way to do it is download a pass. You can download it from the QR code here, or you can go online to SanDiegoMuseumCouncil.org.
Along with the pass, you'll find links to all the participating museums, one-stop shopping for everything you need to know about Museum Month, one of the best things about living in the San Diego-Tijuana region, also known as the World Design Capital for 2024. John Carroll, KPBS News.
And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.